you have experienced in this 1 month, is there some change you would like to bring about? Is there something, a mid-course correction, something to lend better direction? So would you have something to say to that?
Yeah, I think vis-a-vis projects, I quite like the idea that we have more intense projects, and by which I mean, you know, what you said earlier, just like we say that we need to have a question bank, and if we were to, you know, conceptualize projects which can come with, you know, from the students themselves, we can throw it open and then see what are the various dimensions that can be explored through various disciplines of knowledge, and then people can pick up from that or add to it. At least a model kind of conceptualization is put in place, wherein the pressure on the student about doing 5 or 10 different projects gets to be less.
Oh, so there is a bit of a pressure on the student.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so we need to take this into account.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
So
and so you think a library of projects?
I think so.
Is that a worthwhile idea?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that that's binding.
No, certainly.
Yeah, but at least those
sort of it sets the standard and the tone for the projects. Okay.
Yes.
Shobha, what do you say?
One thing I've always felt is that somewhere along the line when we were doing the conventional teaching, you know, we were always into
Shobha is talking about the good old days, right? When we learned, that's how we learned, right?
I mean, but I think because now once we're coming over here, we start learning that, okay, you know, something could have been improved even from that time.
Right.
So there's something, you know, especially in mathematics, it is, you know, this is correct, this is wrong. We were never
0-1.
Yeah, the 0-1 case, you know. We were never into it, you know, and it was always that what the teacher thought is right, you know. If a question is put, what I think as an answer, I expect the students to answer that,
incidentally,
you know.
you would be, I don't know if you are aware of this, I think this morning I read a news report on some teachers talking about grading the math ability questions, the scripts, answer scripts. And there was this question, apparently, I have no idea, which said something like, discuss the probability of it snowing in Delhi and whatever, justify your answer or something. How do you justify your answer? And apparently one teacher, I cannot remember which college or whatever, was upset that this is a maths question, has to have a specific answer.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly don't know, but in this question, I thought this was an interesting question. You know, you could ask, okay, yeah, so how do some student might say the probability is a little bit, you know, or very small, and could justify it. You have to look at how the student is thinking and what are the processes involved and how do they compute probability, how do they justify their conclusions. Why should they come up with one specific answer? And I thought the teacher seemed to have missed the point. I don't know what you thought about that.
That's the same thing. You know, see, for example, you know, Sukrita here is from languages. I'm here from mathematics. And we use statements like, you know, that it's probably is going to rain today. You know, it's without thinking. Now, as a mathematics teacher, I start thinking when I say probably, you know, so what does that word probably mean to me? Is it less likely to rain? If it is less likely to rain, that means the number is going to be somewhere closer to 0. If it is more likely to rain, if there's going to be a number closer to 1, you know. That kind of a thought process, I think that needs to be encouraged, you know, that look, once when you are dealing it, you have your own analysis. Each person may have his own analysis, and I think one needs to honor that, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And as a teacher, you have to have a broader horizon for that.
Let's not destroy the enthusiasm and the desire for the child to think in ways which are a little out of the box. Okay. So, Pankaj, in that context, do you think that these books for the foundation courses that the university has produced, are they a sort of hindrance? Are they bogging down the teachers? Are they feeling sort of burdened that they have to finish what's in the book, teach that, and therefore they become more and more like the old style teacher who teaches on the blackboard? Or do you think teachers have understood that these books are to be used as springboards? Don't get bogged down in these books. They're not like quicksand. Move beyond. Use them as springboards. Is that happening?
Yes. Sir, I tell you, because that for every paper that we have a distribution of the marking system, that 55 for the internal assessment and that only 20 marks is for the test. What will happen? That will happen a little slowly. What is happening is that because there is a freedom for 55 marks for the teacher to do many things. That is, the freedom is not only for the teacher, that is the freedom for the students as well. Same has happened at the CIC also. When we joined the CIC and when we started these innovation projects, as a teacher, I was always worried, oh, I also have to float so many innovation projects for the students, and I have to come up with many ideas. But slowly and slowly what is happening is, now we are realizing that it is the students, those who are coming up with their own ideas. So before the next semester starts, students have an idea, okay, next semester I will want to do this project. So they are already ready with the things that what they want to do, because they know they are going to study these subjects. So they their thinking process starts well in advance, because they know they have a freedom, so they can conceive their ideas. So these books, in that matter, that will be only a borderline things which will provide us a little framework that, okay, these are the things which we have. They have the idea. From here you can get the ideology. Okay, these are the things which we need to imbibe in everyone. So for example, if we take information technology, the idea is of this is to make the learner familiar with IT. Because this is not to be studied only by the students, those who have familiar with, there are many those who are not. Right. So in that case, we have to take that, we have to bring them together, so they learn. Then there is a skill part. Now skill also, IT skill has to be acquired by all, because everybody is now making use of it in the society every day. Now everybody has a mobile phone, and before we learn, everybody else learn. That kind of situation is arising. So in that manner, we have to equip them with that technology, and then we have to connect with a different discipline. Now they are realizing, for example, if I take one example, if I have to connect history and IT. Nowadays, if you see on internet, because internet is easily available and we have facility to use that, you can see the 3D view of any monument on Google Earth, or otherwise also there are, for example, if I say Mysore Palace, they have put up a 3D view where you can see room by room everything from the description. So you, even if you are not visiting that place, you can connect with the history and IT, and you can do the similar for your own. So that way we can interconnect, and sooner or later it is the learning and teaching will be student centric rather than the teacher centric.
Okay, so since you brought this, I'd like Sukrita's perspective, even though Sukrita herself dislikes this distinction between what is humanities and what is not. And I think I also tend to agree with her own view on this. It's a broad liberal perspective she brings into this. But Sukrita, do you think using the textbook to IT, is it taking away from the students' deeper learning experiences, or is it bringing something into it, particularly in the context of what you have been teaching?
Yeah, I think it's very significant to see, as you already said, that in the context of the coming together of both. I think it's important to see how technology can be seen as a very vital tool, but however, we have to think in terms of technology as a tool here in the making of knowledge. And so when we start looking at it as a tool, we also need to know how to use it and how to discriminate within the parameters of knowledge, what constitutes knowledge, how do you develop critical sensibility, how do you develop analytical kind of perspective, etc. So that is the training that the student needs to get, and we need to be very conscious as mentors. We need to be extremely conscious that if we are saying go Google and check out on such and such information, I think it's important to then make the student realize that not all information found on Google or on internet is like the Bible, just as the book also, any book, is not the end of it all. And not just that, I think I would also like to use this opportunity to talk about how the organizing principle in doing research at any level, whether it's school level or college, it's actually the training of the mind. And so in the doing of a project, it's very, very imperative for the student to realize, just as for the teacher as well, as to how the timeline has to be followed in a particular way, how the objectives have to have ultimately some outcome also in mind, and therefore a timeline has to be drawn very carefully and very realistically. In one of the projects that we had, which was a language project, in the sense that again it was language and technology coming together, because a language app had to be created, and this is for the lesser known languages.
Oh, I see.
So this student had very unrealistically, he's very passionate, and he was kind of in one sense the leader of the group. He said, well, I'll take on 10 languages. Ultimately, they managed to do only 2, which is also remarkable.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
And we had a body of linguists. You won't believe it. It was like, Professor Anvita Abbi and Professor Gargesh and, people who, as a round table. And we asked these students to make a presentation in the presence of these very respectable and respected scholars. And they were so convinced that there was this group that was going to go far in terms of learning how to conserve languages. So they did these 2 languages, but I couldn't convince them theoretically, because in the beginning I told them you will not be able to handle more than 1. They were challenged about it and they pushed themselves that they could do only 2. They couldn't do 10. And they had said, we will do an atlas, language atlas for South Asian languages.
But it started now, so the next group
They will do it.
add
They
and
will
add,
do
and
it.
eventually you'll have
So
one.
really what
Yeah.
I'm saying is methodology. That also is very important.
Yeah.
And we know, fortunately, and I'm very happy that, a PhD hypothesis is given. And you already know what you're going to prove. And it takes away the excitement to some extent. The projects we are doing here, we don't know where we are going.
Oh, so in mathematics, you don't know where you're going.
Exactly.
Okay, so no matter what PhD you're working on,
All right.
you have no idea what the outcome will be. Of course, it can also be very distressing sometimes.
Yes, yes,
But that's
yes,
part of the
yes,
game.
yes,
You have to go
yes.
through these ups and downs.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, what I would like to do is, ask each one of you the same question, and I'd like a very clear answer on that, on 2 things, 2 questions. So one, of course, if you can relate one experience on this business of teaching the foundation courses, the projects, the innovation involved, and the student enthusiasm, out of that, one particular experience that really stands out and stands apart from what you had experienced in the old style. There's nothing to run down in the old style.
Yeah.
Let's not give a message here that that's bad or anything. All of us are also products of that, and there is gain there. But I wouldn't even call this a new method. Some time back I came across this quote from Tagore, where he's lamenting the fact so long ago that we have confined education to the 4 walls, as you said, of a room and the blackboard, and we are disconnected from the world and from nature and from the use of hands. Gandhi also said that, and India's tradition in knowledge has always been like that in the past. Connect with the world, hands-on, practical, and higher reaches of knowledge. Everything is merged, skills, this, that. So we are not running anything down, we are just saying this is something that we need to reinvent or bring again from the past and add our own perspective. Anything that stands out, your experience. And the second question, and you can think about it, I'd like to know if you were given a chance, each one of you, to be either a student of the foundation course or be a teacher in today's context, with all little wisdom that we have gathered, its usefulness, drawbacks, whatever. What would you choose? And we can start with, Pankaj, and we can move this way.
All right. I'm telling that first I'm answering the first question, that is the experience which I have taken from the
Pankaj is, you see, a scientist. He has to move sequentially. The first question gets answered first, the second gets answered second. I bet Sukrita would have started the other way around. Anyway, go ahead.
The thing is that I have to take one internal assessment in the class, and I was thinking that how different it can be. So there were around 30 students in the class. I said, okay, I was teaching thermal physics for them to this semester only. So I told them, what you do is that I divide the class in only 2 groups, 15 each on the side, and they have to study about one scientist associated with the thermal physics, and they have to come up with a presentation on that for a 40 minutes each. presentation can take anything, any video, any find outs, any photographs or any documentation, whatever they feel like they can do, and whatever they want to do with that, that has to be done. And that was the thing which was given, task was assigned to them. The moment I said, this is okay sir, everybody has to make the presentation, I said no, you have to, each group has to make only one presentation. Then they thought for a bit time that okay, this is the way we have to do. Initially they feel ki this will be difficult, that everybody will be judged because, so I said no, this is the task which I have assigned and you have to do that. They says okay, then they took up the task and started doing. When after a week time I had a presentation, I tell you there was lots of learning for me. What they did on James Watt and on Joule Thomson. Each one of them made a presentation that how the heat engine was invented, and that presentation they started from the very beginning, that how the heat engine was invented, how were their initial designs were there, and how the engines were improvised, and how he patented that design to earn money out of that. So it was a whole process which they explained through that, and they searched out long old videos from YouTube, which even I have not seen earlier.
Oh,
Yes, and that way they shown, and the end remark which I learned, which was very happy for me, was this is, सर इन्होंने जो ये डिज़ाइन बनाया था हीट इंजन का, ये बिल्कुल वैसा ही लगता है जैसा मॉडल आजकल हम इंजीनियरिंग किचन में बनाते हैं और बाद में जाके वो क्या बन जाता है. So that was the thing, that they have understood the whole process of inventing something or innovating. This is the real innovation, that first you make a model and then improvise over slowly and slowly. So that was the different project which they have done, and that was totally learning experience. And why I am putting this as an apart is because if I would have tried to give them the knowledge about these two scientists, I would not have been able to do this in 5-6 classes, and that would have been very boring for them. So that way it was totally different. And then I come to the second part of the question. I think even though I am a teacher, when I am working on these innovation projects, I am a student as well. So either if I am working in that group, I am both. So that way it saves me life.
good. So that's interesting. Okay, Shobha, what do you have to say?
And I think Pankaj has stolen the words from my mouth, because I had the exact view, because at this stage I think I'm in both the boats, I'm a student as well as a teacher, and specifically one subject which I hated in fact throughout my school life was history. And now that's one subject I've started loving it, looking into all these aspects that is coming into it. So I think it's a good idea to be both,
Okay.
Coming to, something apart. So this was this one exercise that we had done with the students. We went and visited the Jagatpur area, We divided ourselves into various groups, and we told them that just go and survey the people out at Jagatpur and see, what all, do they have any problems, what are their views and everything. So the students went, and it was good to see the excitement of the, the people out also were there. So they came up with certain problems that area was facing. One was the transportation problem. One was, there was this section of women, the women who had immigrated from the other states. Their husbands were working, they were basically riding the rickshaws. They wanted to work, they wanted to supplement the income of their husbands, but since they could not move out of the houses, they didn't know how to do about it. The other was a problem about the water. So the students said, okay, let's take up this problem and let's try to see, how we can look into it. So they were totally left free to do whatever they were, and they were given some time to go and survey. Now in that learning process, what I was talking initially about it, they learned about it that these problems are not all that simple, because that's where the social aspects comes into it, the economic aspect comes into it, the political aspects comes into it. But anyhow, and then these students learned, that okay, if we need to do something about it, we need to go and conduct a survey. Now how to conduct a survey? So you can't just go about asking people, because how do you gather the information? So then they learned, okay, that means we need to prepare certain questions, Nothing was told to them about it. And it wasn't something very, something rocket science that they did. But it was on this thing that learned, okay, then they sat down together, okay, let's see what are the, good questions that we can prepare, Then again they went out, then they said, ki nahi, aise to time lagega, so let's spread out, this few people are there, and then let's come back again and then collate the data that we have come across it. Then out of that whole exercise, there were two projects, which the students came up with. One was empowering these women from this section, and that time, since this idea about banning the plastic bags were going on, so they went there, they taught these people, how to make paper bags, how they can give out.
Oh.
They worked out the economy about it, that what is the amount that they can generate out of it. And the other was the transportation problem, because the DTC buses couldn't enter, the roads were very narrow, So then they worked out the whole timetable, that how we could use the Grameen Seva into it. At what intervals these, they collected the data, that at what time, the frequency of the people moving out of Jagatpur, moving in Jagatpur is there. These two problems, because this was something that it connected maths in a way to exactly what is happening in this,
That's the
small
amazing
part of the society.
So this is really mathematics, but it's sort of embedded inside problems and challenges of society. Something that the foundation courses are really meant to
and
bring,
there wasn't any rocket
out.
science mathematics being used over here. It was simple mathematics that was
It's
being
in
used
action.
over here.
Well, Sukrita, what's your take on this?
I'll be very, very quick, because I think there are too many points which were very, very exciting to really get recorded out here while the projects were going on. And talking about rocket science, I'll just narrate one little moment which really stands out in my mind. And this is a project that it's just been completed, well, I would say in one sense just started, but a project which is going on in a group which is working with children in conflict with law. And this is with the remand house at Delhi Gate. And it's amazing. I mean, I just happened to be there for one of the workshops with children not more than 16 or so, but the one particular child I want to talk about was I think about 12 years of age, and we were supposed to be working out, somewhere trying to understand what the aspirations of these children would be, considering that they are locked up here, right? And they're supposed to be criminals. So this one child, very beautiful, innocent face, and was supposed to be a murderer. And I mean, that's what he's accused of. But this one of our students asked, तो तुम क्या बच्चे क्या करना चाहोगे जब यहाँ से निकलोगे, तो क्या बनना चाहोगे? तो he says, और बड़े गंभीरता से उसने कहा कि मैं तो वो चांद है ना, मैं वहाँ पहुँचना चाहता हूँ, उसकी मुझे मशीन बनानी है, शायद हेलीकॉप्टर ऐसा होगा कोई, तो मैंने वो करना है. तो ये रॉकेट साइंस, और मुझे लगा कि अगर गिवन एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, उसकी पैशन तो ये ज़रूर, इट्स नॉट जस्ट पोइट्री देयर, बट इट्स समथिंग टू डू विद the aspiration, innocent aspiration. God knows after he would come out of that particular remand house, he is not going to be easily accepted by the society, because he is forever branded as criminal. So what our children are doing, our students are doing, is to actually adopt maybe about 3 to 5 of these children each semester, and they are counseling, talking to them, and I'm going on telling them, and I can see that happening. It's not as if they are counseling, they are actually in one sense getting counseled about life themselves, these students who are working in this project. But that one moment of how this child wants to reach the moon, and not just say that I'll hire something, he says I want to make something which can take me to the moon, because I've heard that it's possible. He said, I know it is possible. So that was touching. And the other question that you asked, I mean, it's true. I think I share your opinion about that. I think somewhere the line totally disappears between teacher and student here.
Except that you don't get graded.
Yeah. And so this, so I'd like to always use the word mentor here more than teacher, because we are kind of sitting on the steering wheel in one sense and giving directions. But ultimately we do find that these young minds sometimes pick up the steering themselves, and we get directed as well. Thank you.
Well, it's been really nice discussing this, and I think many learnings will come out of this. More importantly, I think this discussion has at least got me thinking. I'm sure each one of you has now begun to think a little more on this, and I think when our colleagues view this program, they will also begin to think in newer ways about how to take these courses forward in a more empowered way. But thanks, I really enjoyed this. It's very stimulating, and I want to somehow get more and more engaged in this business of imparting instruction, where it's not instruction, being a mentor or whatever with the students. So thanks very much. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's a delight. So thank you.
Thank you.